Good afternoon. My name is Jake Perry. I'm a senior here at Brewer High School. I'm a part of the basketball, baseball, and football teams. It gives me great pleasure to tell you about Hall of Fame inductee Mr. Ronald Treat. Class of 1962 graduate and Omar Athlete of the Year, Ron Treat was an outstanding football and track student athlete. On the gridiron, he is one of the best halfbacks in school history. In his varsity debut, he scored 3 touchdowns to lead Brewer to a 38-0 victory over Stearns. He continued to be one of the top scorers throughout his football career. He frequently earned the recognition not just from his teammates and coaches, but also by reporters as the fastest halfback in Eastern Maine. He was named to the All-Eastern Maine football team his senior year. Mr. Treat took his speed to the track, where he was equally as successful. He was known as a tough competitor, but with a positive, relaxed attitude that aided his determination. He was great at the 100 and 200-yard sprints, but his legacy is in the 440-yard dash with a time of 50.2 seconds and the long jump at 20 feet, 8.5 inches. During his senior year, he was a double gold medal winner at the PVC meet, winning the 440 and tying the meet record, and also winning gold in the long jump. At the Class A state meet, he took silver in the long jump. He represented Brewer at the New England Championships and took 6th place. He is one of the top long sprinters in Brewer history, holding the record in the 440-yard dash for 46 years, and now 62 years after graduation, still ranked 2nd among Brewer's top 20 all-time list. He is currently ranked 10th in the long jump among Brewer's top 20 of all time. Mr. Treat was a math teacher at Brewer High School for 34 years before retiring in 2003. At this time, I am honored to introduce Gary Trask to present Ron Treat for induction into the Brewer Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jake, Mr. Utterback, the other inductees, family members, and friends. It is a privilege and an honor for me to introduce to you the next nominee for acceptance into the Brewer Athletic Hall of Fame. He not only excelled on the football field and gridiron, receiving first-team all-conference honors in the early 60s, but he held 2 records in the 440-yard dash and the long jump. I was never fortunate enough to have seen him run on the track while setting the record in the 440-yard dash, but one thing I did observe was him setting a world record in the 440-yard dash when he was being chased by a trophy bull moose in the North Maine woods. And that's the truth. The next nominee worked more than 35 years as an educator at both Brewer Middle School, Brewer High School. He coached Brewer youth hockey, participated in volunteering for Project Graduation, and served as a mentor to many students that he came in contact with over the years. Some even remain as close friends to this day. He and his beautiful wife have been married for over 50 years and were privileged to raise 2 loving and adoring children. He is the proud grandparent of 6 grandchildren, all girls. His lifetime has been spent in the Brewer-Holden area, contributing to anyone who had a need. Never did he say no to a request to help all his friends and neighbors when they had a task that needed assistance. What does it take to become an inductee of the Brewer Athletic Hall of Fame? A few simple words come to mind immediately. Endurance, dedication, physicality, passion, principled, willpower, and attitude. Your next nominee to the 2004 class of Brewer Athletic Hall of Fame exemplifies all these qualities every day of his life. It is what made him who he is to this day. It is my honor to introduce to you Ron Treat.
Looking for Eileen's timer. Putting things into perspective, It's been 62 years since I graduated from Brewer High School. Also, I retired from teaching and coaching in Brewer 21 years ago. Seems like yesterday. Just a quick side note, my family moved from Brewer to Holden in 1954, and I spent my 4th and 5th grade in a one-room schoolhouse. One teacher, 8 grades, no gym, no physical education. I didn't know much about team sports. I spent most of my time hunting and fishing and things of that sort. My first introduction to organized sports was in gym class my freshman year at the old Brewer High School on Somerset Street. Later that became Brewer Middle School. The first coach I had was Coach Cicchini, a great coach to get started with. He was strict, he was fair, he did a great job teaching the skills that we needed. He also had a pretty good sense of humor. After freshman year, our class headed for the high school on Parkway South, and that's where I got my first taste of team sports, and I loved it. I joined the track team where I ran the 100-yard dash, the 440, and jumped the long jump. My track coach was Harold Pressey. He was my coach for the next 3 years. He was also my chemistry teacher, and he ended up being a very, very good friend. Later on, Harold and I coached freshman football at Brewer. Coach Pressey did not have any real track facilities, so we often found open time at Garland Street Athletic Complex in Bangor. We would run around the high school for our practices for running events, and we did build a pit and a couple pits, actually, one for the long jump and one for the high jump on Pendleton Street. My last year as a senior, I decided to try out for the football team, and with a little encouragement from Dale Dearborn, it worked out quite well. They were great coaches. My coaches were Larry Mahaney, Chig Cicchini, and Paul McCourt. They were great coaches and fun to work for. We had a great season, winning most games. We did have to forfeit several games because of an ineligible player. And I think I remember we had to vote to see if we wanted to keep him on the team or not. And we did vote to keep him on the team, but there were some other things that had to be worked out, and he didn't get to play again until the end of that season. I thank Dale Dearborn for encouraging me to play. Later on, we became business partners, and unfortunately, Dale died tragically at the age of 30. I had many friends from all the high school athletic community, friends like Jim White, Dave Farley, Dick Farley, Jerry Perkins, Steve Maines, Tim Costain, Dale Dearborn, Ken Fox, Bob Frazier, Dave Leslie, and many more. I still communicate with some of them. When I came back to Brewer as a teacher, I also did some coaching with Ralph Breyer, Tim Marculia, Mike Conley, and I assisted Ken Perrone with his football teams. I think all of the coaches enjoyed the Sunday meetings at Ken's home, reviewing the last game and the next game that was on the schedule. Going over the small details was a very important factor for having success, and I think that Ken had a lot of success. When teaching at the middle school, I assisted Ralph Breyer with his outing club. Ralph ended up being a great friend and a partner in a couple of business ventures. One venture was construction, the other was installing sports equipment in schools in Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. And that Sport Tech was affiliated with White Sporting Goods and Andy Nickerson. Later on, when teaching at the high school, I got involved with ice hockey. Dave Hart and several other people got hockey started at Brewer High School. I was involved in building the first hockey rink in Brewer at Pendleton Street, about where this building right here is now. I also helped build sports with high school hockey. I also coached a Brewer Bantam team that was a Brewer team. I coached it with Gary Trask. And I would like to thank all the people involved in creating the Hall of Fame for Brewer Athletics. Certainly have done an outstanding job. And last, I would like to thank everyone here tonight for supporting the inductees into the Athletic Hall of Fame. I feel this is a great honor, and I thank you again. Thank you.